Okay, hello and welcome to the penultimate round of our Whoop UCI Mountain Bike World Series UCI Enduro and E-Enduro World Cup. We're here in the Aletsch Arena, Bolwald Valais region of Switzerland for this spectacular round and event here. We've got up on stage Flo Espiniera, Ryan Gilchrist, Ella Connolly, Richie Rude, Leah Roots, and Jose Borges up the end here. Fantastic roster of riders. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Thank you very much for being in this epic location. Let's start with Flo at the end. Flo, you've had an exceptional season so far and a firm grip on the leader's jersey. Another brand new location and a nod to the old school Enduro big mountain days. How does this change your preparation coming into a brand new event, knowing you're the series leader and knowing that the end of the season is coming?
Yeah, maybe the approach for the race is a little bit less inner pressure, knowing that I have a gap in points. But of course, my goal is always try to win every single race, either if it's the first one or the last one, or if I do need the points or not. I'm stoked to be here. The trails are gonna be rough, and hopefully it doesn't rain. So yeah, I don't know. Excited about the race.
And what was your favorite part of today's practice? You guys have all just finished a big day of practice out there today. There's 9 stages on offer for the UCI E-Enduro World Cup event here. What was your favorite moment today?
So I really enjoyed that we didn't repeat any stage. Everything was new. That's very fun. And I really enjoy time travel, the e-bike specific. Trail is quite nice. It's not as rocky as the other ones, and loamy and fun.
Ella Connolly, you're racing the UCI Enduro World Cup, and you've had a spectacular season as well. Have you got your eyes set on trying to win in one of these remaining 2 races, or do you have a different focus?
The goal this year definitely to be up there competing for the win. I feel like I've got a little bit of extra pace to find. We're kind of in the mix, but not right at the top at the moment. So yeah, I'm looking forward to pushing on this weekend and see what we can do.
What do you think it's going to take to break into that winning stages and winning the overall?
Oh, that's a hard one. I've been trying to figure that out. Hey, yeah, I think for me, like the mental side of things is a huge thing. So that's something I'm working on a lot at the moment. And yeah, I think there's time to be made there.
And what was your favorite moment of today? You guys have 5 stages, 56 kilometer day, I think, and a lot of vertical descent. Yeah, what was your favorite stage of the day?
It was a big day. My favorite stage was stage 4 in Belwald Bike Park. Oh, it was so cool. Just natural, flowy bike park. Oh, the best. Really cool.
Cool. A very special moment for Leah here, racing at home in Switzerland, and your first ever UCI E-Enduro World Cup. You practiced the e-bike today. What was the hardest challenge adapting to the e-bike compared to the regular bike?
Yeah, for me, for sure, the weight of the bike and also the uphill stages, as I'm not used to those.
You've been racing the Enduro World Cup season so far in 2024. Now we're back in Switzerland, racing both events. Is that an extra layer of pride to race at home and race twice in your home round?
Yeah, we'll see if I'll make it twice to the finish. But yeah, it's always cool to race in your own country and to have a lot of people here that know me or that cheer for you. So that's always cool.
And how does that feel? Does that give you an extra boost on race day? Will you have family and friends here this weekend watching you race in the Enduro and the E-Enduro?
Yeah, sure. That's always cool to have people here that you know, and the whole Swiss community. We raced here some Swiss races, so everyone maybe knows the stages pretty well.
You've raced here a lot. You mentioned before that the IXS Cup has raced down the downhill track, which is the bottom part of stage 4 for the Enduro World Cup.
Yes.
Is that an advantage to know that type of terrain? Because that's probably the biggest and most physical stage we have here this weekend.
So actually, the IXS Cup part is only the very bottom of the track. So that's tiny bit of an advantage, but not too much, I guess. But yeah, the terrain in the Belwald Bike Park, as Ella said before, is really cool. It's natural, it's flowy, it just makes you grin. It's just fun.
And what is your favorite stage, being a little bit more intimately aware with the area? What's your favorite stage of the weekend, e-bike or regular bike?
I would say it's the stage 6. Yeah.
Six.
6.
Stage 6.
It's quite long, it's quite steep and fast.
Jose, you've had an up and down season so far. You've been very vocal on what your intentions are this season, and we haven't quite seen you hit that number 1 spot so far. Is that your goal for these next 2 races? What is the goal?
Yeah, for sure. My goal is to take the number 1 on the finish of the season. To take the overall is the goal of the team and my goal too, and we'll see.
Is there more focus on the series, or is there a focus on individual events? There is 24 points between yourself and Ryan Gilchrist with 2 huge races to go this season. What is the focus?
Like I tell you before, the focus is overall for sure. Then after London Bill, we were focused on the World Champs because it's the first time. For sure, I want to bring the jersey for home. Yeah, but the goal is to take the overall to Ryan.
Let's go straight back to Ryan. Ryan, it's 24 points. You've just come off a huge race in Combloux. After, in your words, a disappointing Leogang. The battle goes back and forth between you two guys, which is exceptional to watch. 24 points moving forward. What is your focus?
It's not much, but not much point difference. But yeah, I guess just racing the season, how I've done so far, that's put me in the lead. I'm really looking forward to these races, big, long physical stages. My best stage performances this year have been on long physical stages, so really building that intensity through the long stages that have big pedal sections. Feeling fit, feeling strong, and the team's putting a lot of work into making everything click. So it's going to be about finishing the races as high in positioning as possible and trying to win that overall.
And for Ryan and Jose, with the battle being so close, what is the key stage this weekend that you will focus on to make sure that you beat the other one?
The whole track. It's really hard to pinpoint a stage, and I feel like pinpointing one stage is kind of counterintuitive, but a lot of time to be made and lost on the power stages, and a lot of time to be made and lost wherever the track is undulating terrain.
And Jose?
Yeah, honestly, every stage is hard, especially stage 5. Then for the last stage, we try to make easy, but last stage you can lost everything. So honestly, yes, everything is there.
Everything is up to play
Yeah.
for. And Richie Root, you've had an exceptional season so far. You're on a huge roll of momentum and confidence with some of the tightest battles we've seen coming down to Combloux, which was 0.05 of a second for the final stage. Does that actually calm you down, knowing you've been in those high-pressure situations at the very end of the day, exactly when it counts? Does that make you feel calmer and more confident as you go event to event?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was thinking about it in Poland this year when Charlie was leading into the last stage, and I was like, man, like I've been here so many times, and I know exactly what it feels like. And yeah, sometimes when you're that close, it's kind of like, oh, like you're here for a reason. Like you got to battle for it, and yeah, it can feel good. But yeah, it's definitely stressful. Like when you're going into like a big last stage, there's a lot of time that could be made or lost, and definitely have to enter it in the right mindset, and yeah, try and have a solid performance. And I mean, even like the short stages can be quite difficult too, because you have to go like full out intensity.
There's 2 rounds left. You have a somewhat sizable lead, but it's not in the bag yet. Is that lead on your mind, or are you paying attention to each race at a time?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit in my mind. Like I raced Leger World Cup last weekend for downhill, and yeah, that Enduro overall like series, or like the overall was definitely in the back of my head going down the track a bunch of times. It was stressed me out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, having that lead, it's definitely nice, but as always, like you want it to be a bit more, and I want like the last round to be hopefully a bit chill. But so yeah, a bit of pressure on myself this weekend to kind of either keep the gap the same or build on it. And yeah, especially here, it's fast and it's rocky, and yeah, I think you're gonna have to be a bit careful out there.
And speaking of careful, there's an exceptional amount of rocks and high speed on some very, very technical terrain. Is there something in particular that you'll pay attention to on your bike or your own preparation to make sure you do survive these stages with that overall series in mind?
Yeah, I think I guess it comes down to like a bit of line choice and probably just being mindful, like going down, especially like stage 2, there's a lot of rock and you gotta be trying to be smooth and just, I guess, keep in mind, like, you know, where your wheels are and where your tires are, because yeah, it could be bad. And even like stage 1, the top has some sharp rocks up there that could any weekend very quickly.
Ella, we've been to some spectacular venues so far, and the scenes, the trails, the events, the vibes have been great. Some of the best we've seen. Aletsch Arena has provided one of the most spectacular locations we've ever seen. Is it one of your favorite venues you've seen so far?
Yeah, I think I'm really happy to be back in such like an alpine, like adventurous location, because for me that's what enduro is. So it feels like we're kind of going more back towards its roots. So yeah, I think it's an amazing venue, and I hope it stays.
True story. Leah, you've seen this place before, but now with an Enduro World Cup and an E-Enduro World Cup, are you surprised at how many lines and how different the tracks evolve during a practice day?
Yeah, sometimes I was surprised with deep ruts that fall away. So yeah, it's kind of different because you see the speed is different of every rider, and therefore the lines, like turns get opened wider and stuff like this. Tracks are longer than we used to race them. So yeah, there's a big difference from a Swiss race to this one.
There is some impending weather lurking around and maybe some rain coming tomorrow or Saturday. Mm-hmm. Do you think you have an advantage knowing what the terrain may develop like if there is a bunch of rain?
I think it's always been dry the last few years, so I'm not too sure if I have an advantage. But I think the rocks are pretty solid, so it's okay to ride them in the wet. It's not getting too slippery.
In this particular area, do you have any advice or ideas for the other athletes or anyone else here to come and check out while they have some time here in this beautiful spot?
Yeah, it's what we race, plus there's a lot of other trails. There's some Swiss apps you could check for hiking paths that could be ridden. So yeah, there's a lot to explore here.
It's a lot to explore indeed. Jose, this race has so many factors between the power stages, the long physical descents. There's 24 points between you two. What is the focus? Is it to charge and beat Ryan, or is it to charge and beat everybody?
For sure, beat everybody. Yeah, but we need to finish the race because so rough. Yeah, but the goal is, look, man, I'm second overall, and right now I don't win the race. But I want to win, for sure.
But that would be super cool to see. And speaking of winning, Ryan, you have the number 1 plate this season. We mentioned this before, how much your development in last season racing the e-bike, and now you're in this position where you're leading the championship. There is a tight points battle. You have one of the most experienced enduro riders chasing you down. How does that feel, knowing you are number 1, you are in this position, and it's all coming down to the pointy end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a dream, honestly, because like debuting last year, having an okay season, but being able to start the season with the number 1 plate, hold on to the number 1 plate, lose it, and then regain it. I think that's 3 different validating factors that means that I deserve to be where I am, which really plays well into my own head and my own preparation for the race. So yeah, I guess knowing that I belong here is something important that I'm still working my head around. And yeah, it's just a very special thing with the Shimano EP racing team.
Nice one. Flo, there's been some new competitors come into the E-Enduro World Cup ranks, and people have been racing double days, the Enduro World Cup plus the E-Enduro World Cup. Having that fresh talent, that fresh pool of riders, how does that feel knowing you're the series leader and they might not necessarily affect your points lead, but they may take some valuable points away from you?
Well, for me, more than the points, is always nice to have a more complete feel on the e-bike, it's always nice to be pushing more and more. So I'm very happy, although it means maybe I lose some points to have more women coming into the E-Enduro and make the level go up.
Richie, if we've seen Slavomir do the double in Poland, he raced the regular bike. Ryan has started to race the regular bike and the e-bike. You're almost the last man standing. Will we see you race an e-bike this season?
I don't know. I guess I'm pretty focused on the Enduro at the moment. But I guess, see what the old team manager has in store for me. But yeah, just focusing on Enduro, and I don't want to get in old Ryan's way.
Don't want to take any points away from you?
Maybe. I don't know, but those boys got their your bike racing pretty dialed. So yeah, it'd be probably fun to do one, but also a lot more like new things to take in.
You've had a program and a bike and a setup that is somewhat similar for years and years now. How valuable is that to be in these high pressure situations and have that confidence in every single aspect of your setup, to know it intimately? How much does that help you coming into race day?
Yeah, it's definitely, it feels like a bit of an advantage sometimes. I mean, even coming to this weekend and thinking about the championship, it's like I was trying to talk with my mechanic and see what things we could maybe like beef up and just be a bit safer on with the bike. But yeah, I think most things are pretty dialed, so it's nice to have that, have that in the bag.
Yes. Coming up this year, we've spoke about it now. It's kind of sunk into all of our athletes. It's the first ever UCI Enduro World Championships. That is a huge moment in everybody's career. Richie, how does that feel to you? I know you've got a bit going on right now with the series, but how does that feel to you, knowing that one of the biggest titles is coming up in your enduro career?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty exciting. Like, I know the overall series is big and it's pretty important to me, but I mean, next year, if you could be wearing the rainbow stripes all year, I think that's pretty special. Like, with the overall series, you don't get to wear a jersey, you get the #1 plate, but I feel like the jersey a bit more flashy, and I feel like it could feel a bit better. So yeah, it's definitely on my mind, and I know Canada has been good in the past, and yeah, hoping for a good race there. And yeah.
And Flo, you've been wearing the leaders jersey all season. Is the idea of wearing a World Championship rainbow jersey starting to creep into your mind as this season draws to a close?
I think it's every bike racer dream to ever wear the rainbow stripe, as Richie said. So yeah, I'm looking forward for that event and try to take it. Yeah.
And Ryan, you're leading the series right now, but is there one eye on the World Championships and one eye on the World Series right now?
I mean, it's in the calendar. I definitely know the event's coming up, but one race at a time. Got this race, got a lead in the King of Crankworks overall, so keen to wrap that up in Whistler and hopefully try and finish on top in that. But yeah, it's one race at a time for me. It's definitely I know it's there, but it's not on my mind dropping into the stages. I got to keep my focus for what the task is at hand.
Ella, you've been to Canazei a few times now. What's some of your favourite memories from Canazei, or what do you enjoy most about that area?
Yeah, I feel like it's become a staple of the enduro calendar now, so it's a pretty fitting place to have the first world champs. The views there are incredible. Hey, like the trails are great as well, but just that view at the top of Tutti Frutti, the last like long gnarly stage, is kind of iconic in enduro. And yeah, I hope we end on that stage as well this year.
Jose, you've raced the regular bike there for many, many years now, and now you'll head back, assuming you'll race the e-bike for the World Championships. Is there a different mindset going to Canazei, or will you take that experience from all those years with you as you line up on the e-bike?
Honestly, it's one of my best places there. I love Canazei. I did well on the past. Rishi beat me on the last stage just by second. And I'm looking for that, and will be good for sure.
For sure.